Hi, welcome to Bar Cart Bookshelf, a video series about books and the drinks they inspire. My name is Elias, and today we're talking about A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock. A Botanical Daughter is a late 19th century gothic horror. It's in one of my favorite subgenres of horror. It's a fungal horror, a sporer, and it's just... Y'all know we love a gothic here. And this is a gothic that loves the gothic. It's in the tradition of penny dreadfuls like Sweeney Todd and 19th century speculative fiction short stories like Rappaccini's Daughter, with a very musical and artistic and arch and mannerist and modern twist, and just an absolute delight. It's the story of two men who are living together in a giant greenhouse, Grimfern, and one is a disgraced botanist and the other is a gifted taxidermist. They are these sort of eccentric gentlemen, and in the course of the botanical researches, married with taxidermical skill, a mycelium is appended to a recently deceased body in gaudy, gruesome fashion, and a network of interwoven plants begins to take form that they raise and treat as a daughter cum experiment. This sort of weird blend of what's human and what isn't, and what's connection and what isn't. This really delightful combination of the inhuman and vegetal with the deeply primal human search for connection. And of course, in true Gothic fashion, things sort of devolve from there. We have lovely descents into madness and the weight of history and family legacy, and all through the lens of this very sort of queer family dynamic and social dynamic that follows through both in the relationship between the two leads, Gregor and Simon, and in Chloe, the botanical daughter, and Jennifer, their erstwhile housekeeper, who has come into their lives at a pivotal moment as well. So, of course, in this truly queer, gay, gothic, botanical mess, we had to have a drink. Y'all know Bar Cart Bookshelf. Y'all know I had to do it. This was one of my most anticipated books of the year, and oh, it paid off. I loved it. And so we have to have a drink. Our drink today is the Grimfern, named for the estate on which Simon and Gregor and Simon live, and it begins with 1.25 ounces of brandy. And they might feel bad for my failure to include port in this recipe, but so be it. Port didn't quite work with our green botanical elements as much as the two gentlemen enjoy a glass of port or three in the evening. They also like a good nipper of brandy. So, we've got our brandy in there. We're going to brighten things up with 3/4 ounce of lime juice. Really fresh, really green, really bright, really zing. And then for our sweeteners, we are going to get 1/2 ounce of elderflower liqueur. Saint Germain is a sort of standard for this, but there are plenty of excellent elderflower liqueurs out there as well. Incidentally, this is the first time, surprisingly enough, that we have used this very wonderful liqueur on Bar Cart Bookshelf. I don't know why. It hangs out on my bar cart all the time, but here we are at last, and here we will be again, I am sure. And then 1/2 ounce of green chartreuse. the chartreuse bottle has a tendency to lock up very quickly, which is good if you're trying to crap a mycelial network, but less good when you're trying to pour making cocktails for friends and family. And we'll get half an ounce of that green chartreuse in there. It's going to bring this sort of botanical element, this greenery, and a sort of crispness. It has that lightly menthol quality to it. So very crisp, very fresh, very green, and planty. And then we've been using some egg white lately with Wicked Problems by Max Gladstone, and again here. So we're going to crack an egg, lovely, and let the egg white slip down into there. And unfortunately, in all of my experience, I have never found something quite so good for getting that egg white into a drink as your fingers. So keep a little bit of paper towel there to clean up, or do this at the sink, or you can pass it between the two eggshells, but for me that always ends up in more of a mess. So there we go. We've got all of our ingredients here. We're going to cap that and give it a dry shake. And this is going to help to froth that egg white. The alcohol in all three of our base spirit and sweeteners, and then the citrus in that lime juice is really going to help to cook that egg white to remove any risk of foodborne illness. As always, when you're working with raw egg, there is that possibility, however slight, and so if that's something that you're uncomfortable with, I recommend substituting either a bar spoon of whole milk powder or foregoing altogether. You are going to lose some sort of suppleness, some texture, but certainly it's not really adding flavor the way that the remainder of our ingredients are. So we're going to give this a nice solid dry shake just to really froth everything in there. Give it a tap, let that drip on down, and add our ice. As always, we're adding our ice last because that's what cooks our cocktail, dilutes everything, brings it into perfect balance as it should be. And we shake it on up again. And you want to give it a good solid shake because you really want that froth and that foam. Lovely. And there you go. Now then, let that drip on down. Take our Hawthorne strainer, and when we are working with ingredients like egg white, we always want to double strain just in case some heavier duty strands of protein have formed in the course of our shaking. We don't want any odd textures. Let that pour on down. You can see how the froth and the foam, there we go, has arranged itself, and that will separate out into a really lovely separation of the two. We're going to garnish this with 3 sprigs of lavender, fresh from the garden, 1 for father, 1 for pater, and 1 for daughter Chloe. And there you have it. This is the Grimfern, inspired by A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock. Try the drink. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. There's a link to snag the book in the description below. I really had a lot of fun with it. If you're a longtime viewer of Bar Cart Bookshelf, I think you will as well. If you're a new viewer, I think you're going to find a lot that you enjoy here. So yeah, please hit that like button. It makes me so very happy, and it really helps us to find new audiences and demonstrate the sort of interest in what we do here. There are links to various forms of social media as well, including Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, if you ever want to see a written version of today's recipe. And so, until next time, cheers!